Some viewers may find this content disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Steven, yes. Another member and teammate from the North American Dogman Project. This is always great to see fellow Dogman researchers in the Fox Den. This must mean it is once again time for Midnight Lycanthropy here on StarFox Radio. This is going to be an interesting one. Much better. I do apologize. Sometimes I become grumpy when I am malnourished. Yet, without further ado, I am fully recharged, revamped, and ready to take a walk into the darkness with Steven. My creatures of the night, yes, welcome back to Midnight Lycanthropy here on StarFox Radio. As always, we do have a very informative host tonight who is a member of the North American Dogman Project Utah chapter. Steven, my guy, how are you doing tonight?
Pretty good, Kenny. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Glad to hear you're doing well, especially on this Father's Day, taking a little bit of time to pop in. I appreciate it. And to answer your question, I am just trying to grind away some videos that I have with some previous hosts, just doing some researching, working on some images, and just filtering through some content myself. What's new with you?
Oh, before we get carried away on stuff like that, I would want to say give you big props because you're definitely been a big asset to North American Dogman Project. All the work you're doing and guiding and just helping people. It's just been amazing. It's been an amazing journey to watch you go through what you've been through from where you started. So, hell of a good job. I don't think many could have done it the way you have. So.
Wow, goosebumps right there, man. I appreciate you, dude. Very kind words, because in general, I just am a firm believer that hard work in whatever realm we choose to project ourselves in, whether it's, being a trucker such as yourself or being someone down the street that is cooking or a journalist such as myself, doesn't matter. There's always arts and crafts and all of that. And I just try to excel the best I can and make sure that I'm always learning, collaborating with people that have more intellect than myself and also that are more talented in realms that we're speaking about, just to make sure that there is credit and merit to the topic. And you're definitely a big supporter of mine. I do appreciate you always checking in, seeing how I'm doing, and it's good stuff, man. I consider you a friend, and a lot of people don't really understand how much in general the effort it takes just to create content, but also everything in life, takes effort, but it is a lot of work, and it is really reassuring to hear positive feedback because I don't get the most kind feedback from my family, more or less, and never really have throughout my journey in life.
We know you got another family, though. Thinks the world
Yes,
of you.
which is why I appreciate all you very much. Thank you so very kind, man. what's new with the Dogman in your direction? Have you been hearing anything, or do you have any thoughts you'd like to start us off with
I,
here? Or?
I have been working, it was on one of our pages, Facebook pages. Somebody said they had a map of a lead sighting, and it was here in Utah. So I reached out to him, and I've been gathering information from him, taking a report, an official report, but I ain't been trying to push it too much because, I haven't gotten to where how much it has affected him, even though it seems like it was just a fleeting, you know, bounce across the road as he was approaching, but I got to go over my notes and then I'll submit it officially. But yeah, been working on that and plotting on some places to go out and get some boots on the ground.
You're staying busy. I appreciate this. Heck yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, so been listening to your episodes and they've been quite informative. I've been kind of working on a theory myself about, well, it's not really myself. I've heard it around and I've kind of pieced it together about the start of all these back when 290, 390 BC. It's when they started having encounters with these dog-headed people and warriors. And Alexander the Great, he was sitting there, he fought against him and fought with him. So, who's to say how they came about? It's just something you can lose yourself in all day.
Isn't that true, my friend? That's some very interesting stuff right there as well, as you just stated. And yeah, no, it was 290 BC was pretty much the first time that the cynocephaly are more or less referenced in history right there. So it is super compelling. And how do you, I guess you know how Jody breaks it down, where the extraterrestrial, we got the physical, and then we got the paranormal. And I personally, as you have stated, you've seen some of my stuff and kind of where I stand. So I believe we are dealing with physical animals that people are seeing, whether it's a relative of a hyena or a current active species, etc., baboons. But I do also believe there are some instances like where Linda Godfrey covering about how there was a glowing dog man running down the road, and also other people have spoken about their flashlights kind of shining through it. So it sounds like more manifestations, which is definitely out of my realm of research aspects. I'm not educated even close enough to make any sort of opinions on that. I usually definitely would try to defer to somebody such as Ryan Tremblay, the Wendigo guy, or some other people that are be able to give some really good answers to that. But I think it breaks down into those categories. How do you feel about that?
Well, okay, to touch back on what I was just referring about was Anubis. Was that back before 290 BC, Egyptian? And what was he? He was the god of the underworld and mummification. So
Yes, it was
with
right
that in
around the same
mind,
time with that, give or take. Yep.
yeah. Now keep that in mind because that's going to come back later. Okay. But if they're okay, as a paranormal investigator, one, you out there, you're talking with spirits, usually people, loved ones and whatnot. And then you get the ones that ain't, never been on earth as a human form. And those, they like to play you, get your trust, usually come across as like a little kid because everybody's got a big heart for kids. But what I'm getting at is they also know what terrifies you. So if they're going to present themselves, show themselves, why not a dog man? Why not a werewolf? How many, Hollywood's already instilled that fear, and how far back does that fear go? So with that, and then a couple episodes when you had the one about the dog man digging in the cemetery, that goes back to that Anubis. Even in Native American, they was something to do with the burial mounds and stuff. So I don't know. but I'm kind of thinking, if they come from another realm, what if, while they're here, they have to abide by our physics? That's where you can see them drinking water, you see them eating and whatnot.
Wow, that's, as I'm sitting here just listening to you, I'm just in my head trying to decipher this, and I've never really put thought into the aspect of, like you said, with the paranormal, the manifestations of fear. I mean, I'm sure it's crossed my mind before, yet as stated, I don't really approach my research as the paranormal aspect, so it obviously didn't really register. Yet, as you just stated, that would make sense. I mean, again, I don't know anything paranormal based or spirit based, never had any experiences like this at all. So I'm just going from, as you just stated, and now that I'm rewinding just information in my brain, it would make sense if someone has a fear or something, as stated. Yeah, if paranormal spirits are existing, then they would have the power to mimic something in theory. So, no, that's really, really interesting right there. And as I said, I never put much thought into that. But then again, like you said, even if they did per se come from somewhere else, it makes me wonder where there have been aspects of them being hit by cars, being shot at. There was one woman from a friend of mine, Jesus, down in Texas, where she had called him and swore she hit a baboon in her Ford F-150 on a back highway area in Texas. And she slowed down and got another look and swore it looked like a massive baboon. But then she saw it retreating or whatever, and she called, and then when they went back, there was blood smear everywhere, but it was nowhere to be found. So I don't know if it crawled off or etc. So that's kind of why I do think that there is some sort of known species aspect occurring a little bit, because as I've tried to break it down to people that aren't really trained in specific animal behaviors or appearance wise, a baboon looks so much like a crazy werewolf with the snout, the barks they make, their ears. They can be green, red, yellow. And certain species of baboon, I believe it's the yellow baboon because they live with a ton of leopards, have adapted night vision. And baboons also will kill birds, take leopard cubs to eat. They take people, babies, eat them. So do chimpanzees.
And they got
So, I
some
mean,
wicked teeth.
yes, they have the wicked teeth and they have the manes. They're quadrupedal, they're
Mm-hmm. Yep.
bipedal. They have the hands now, which could explain opening windows, doors. I have videos that I've showed before where they climb literally into someone's house, open his fridge. They're nightmarish. And again, I'm not stating that this is obviously all of the occurrences and such, but to people that aren't trained with the eye and that don't have a very familiar idea of baboons, they are scary as heck and they look like that. And then people are seeing hyena versions, quote unquote, of Dogman, and hyenas run very strangely too. And if anyone's ever able to see, there was a video I watched one time where one hyena was unfortunately caught. I don't know if it was a male or female out of their pack. There was 20 or 30 wild dogs. Those are little vicious guys and girls. They can cause some damage. Well, they were unable to overtake this hyena. The way the hyena was able to defend his or her flank until she got back to her pack is amazing. It was just, I can't even describe how they do it because of their long neck. They just tuck in their vitals basically, and they're able to twirl the head all around. And when they run and stand up and such, it's very unique. And their front paws and back paws are different size, and they almost have like an articulated joint on their front paw. And again, they are not canine or cats. They're related to mongoose and civets.
Right.
So,
Tweener.
yes, and they dig burrows in the ground, and people are finding strange burrows. So that's why I believe there is some sort of actual, real animals that are being involved. Because A, whether it's ancestors or people that have tried to stock up on exotic animals that aren't supposed to, and then we're gonna get caught, let them run away, or they've escaped on
Yeah.
their own. Zoos are around. I mean, we know this type of stuff. So there is no
You look at the
reason.
anacondas down there in Florida and the Everglades,
Yes, and
those
the Burmese
adapted.
pythons and all that. Yes,
Yeah.
because they escaped and they adapted. So that's a great example right there as well to bring merit to what I was just trying to say. And then when you look at things like the short-faced cave bear, the dire wolves, there is no reason for any of those animals to have gone extinct. The environment is still very similar as it was before. Their food sources are still the same. And pretty much as stated, they have no reason to have gone extinct. And they all lived in areas that humans still don't really congregate in. So it's like I said, super interesting. Why recently was there some cattle found that our environmentalists were speaking about how a dire wolf's tooth fit perfectly in there, and then you got the 1890 ringdocus that looks like it could be a hyena or a dire wolf. Now we're talking about not 10,000, 11,000 years ago. We're talking about a couple hundred years ago. So people should definitely take some of that and really, like I said, try to approach that aspect too, as well as, with the paranormal, because there's definitely both going on. I mean, as far as I know, you obviously will know more than I, but I don't think that they like something paranormal wouldn't be eating, correct? It wouldn't be in front of you leaving a handprint as it opens your window. It wouldn't be leaving like huge tracks in the mud outside. I mean, am I correct?
Well, paranormal ain't quite that cut and dry. You can sit there. One of the oldest ghost hunting tricks was put flour out on your floor where you was getting activity. And if there was saw tracks going through the flour, then you had something, if you was able to control that environment when you put the flour down. Why would a ghost do that? They could walk through walls, but yet they're leaving tracks. Explain that. But on this other deal, to go with the paranormal and coming over from a portal or something, I'm trying to think of the guy's name. He was the cop, him and his buddy partner, the other cop out there in the LBL.
Martin Groves?
Yes, Martin Groves.
Yep.
When you sitting there and when he started going back, realized it was time to turn around and head back. And after you talk to that guy who is being suspected of being the one who was found mauled, he was hearing, as he describes it, as like a metal door dragging on a concrete floor. Who's to say that's not a portal opening or closing? I mean, it's not just like Star Trek and just a little whoosh, is it? How their doors open and everything. So who's to say that wasn't a door opening or closing? The definition of paranormal is just something that's not normal. So whatever, it's out of the realm of normal.
Well stated,
Paranormal.
my friend, right there for sure. And that definitely makes a ton of sense. And as I said, whereas I'm not really a paranormal type of researcher, I guess I don't understand like a lot of that. So no, I appreciate that because as stated, I always like to learn. So the more things that I have I'm able to speak about and bring to the topic is super amazing. And actually, while we're right here, you're gonna love this. The hunter that Martin Groves was referring to, Jody Cook actually, he has a ton of ammo on the fact that that hunter actually was unfortunately in a hunting accident, and obviously whoever shot him didn't want to get caught, so they dragged his body off.
Oh,
But Jody was saying that there was no sort of signs of any dogman activity whatsoever, and that the only signs were local predation on the man, just from like any sort of animal.
oh, right.
Yeah, so I thought as you just brought that up, I thought that would be pretty cool to bring that up right there. I do know Jody did pretty much debunk that.
Well, that's good to know, but still, I could see that happening just as easy,
Oh yeah, of course, 100%. It's
try and hide a hunting accident and you sit there and drag them around and, who's to say you didn't take a knife out and carve them up and try and make it look like an animal attack and then toss them
so
somewhere where last seen some
yes.
coyotes or something. Yeah, so I can see that just all fell into place while you were sitting there telling me about Jody being able to find all that out, figure it out. It's a
Because,
very
like you
smart
said,
man.
yeah, super smart guy. And it's you and I and everyone else, we would like to always take everything as, say, a dogman encounter. But as you just stated, if someone did you would like to think if it was a quality person. I mean, if I unfortunately did that, I would do everything I could to contact the family, law enforcement, etc. But we all know, unfortunately, there aren't really. There's bad people out there, okay? And if someone, yeah, that's very easily said, man. I mean, I could see that right now in my head. Someone shoots somebody by mistake, and like you just said, yeah, make it look like an animal attack, just kind of drag them around. But then again, we do know, unfortunately, that things also that really have occurred are being, potentially just staged as a regular animal attack, like the Corey Godsley story and some of the other ones. So it's
Yes,
tough. Yeah, it's
exactly.
like a slippery slope to like walk right there, because it's important to make sure that, we are figuring that out, but it's also important to be able to kind of look through the veil per se, I guess.
Take a little peek, but you still got to have that little bit of skepticism, because not everything that moves or barks in the night is not necessarily a dog man. What isn't? It could be your neighbor's dog, or it could be something, or something that dog is barking at. You know what I'm saying? You got to have a little bit of skepticism. And I found that kind of when I'm talking to other people, like on some of the Facebook groups, pages, and whatnot. I got to be careful on how because I'm just brought up to be straight up and forward and honest. So I don't sugarcoat. I ask what I'm thinking, and sometimes you can't do that because they've been so messed up. You got to understand somebody who's had an encounter. They've been tortured in silence. They can't tell nobody, so they're suffering in silence, kind of. And so you got to kind of watch what you say and how you say it. And I understand that, but
Very well stated, but I will stick up for you here, my friend. There is nothing wrong at all with being a healthy skeptic and going into being straightforward. And the reason I say that is there's just so much hoaxing and so many liars out there that we have to be straightforward. Okay. If at the end of the day everyone was straightforward and honest, well, that would be great. That'd be a whole nother aspect. But yeah, people are obviously traumatized. But again, it's so unfortunate, but it's also a way to protect, I guess, his or her story. Meaning, if someone is hoaxing, unfortunately, and they don't allow you to come to their property because they don't want anyone just showing up, or they're only sending you perspective shots or blur swatches or just one footprint, not more, it's just such an easy way, again, unfortunately, for people to protect themselves and live in their hoax, I guess. But then, as you did state, obviously when someone has something traumatic happen to them, they don't want to continuously speak about it. So it's again a slippery slope to go up and
yes,
down.
it is. And then, when they talk about it, they're going through that encounter again. They're reliving it in their head. So it is one of them psychological things. And somebody who hasn't had one, we really don't know. I mean, we can read the reports, we can imagine, we can kind of, emphasize with them, but we really don't know about sitting there being so scared you packing an AR out with you to take the garbage out, at night, or, you know, I couldn't I can imagine having to be like that, but I can I can see it, I guess. Somebody's pushed to that point.
No, that's 100% makes sense as well, and well stated, which is why, as you said, it's like so tough because you have to make sure that you're being compassionate about it, but you also have to, not you, just all of us, make sure that we're asking the questions that need to be asked, because sometimes, most of the time, actually, I feel like people get passes on really valuable questions that no one has asked. I mean, I can think about some of the bigger cases and encounters right now where I wish I could speak to some of the individuals and just ask them questions that I feel either no one else has or just chooses not to.
Exactly, right there. Yes, because like I was just telling you earlier, I sit there like when I'm listening to one of your podcasts, I sit there and I go, oh, and I want to write something down and reach out to you later. But same thing when I'm hearing somebody doing an interview or hearing somebody, recounting somebody else's story and going, well, what about, and some of that stuff out there just so creepypasta, it's an insult on the intelligence. Even my dog looks at me funny, but still.
No, again, well stated, but it is true though, and it's not. I don't think it's something that should be looked upon as negative, okay? Because again, anyone that wants to figure out anything in life, questions just need to be asked, okay? And sometimes I just feel like people protect other people's narrative, and that's not really how information is supposed to work and get out there. As far as I know, paleontologists, sure, they don't all have the same theories, but yet they don't hide information from each other. Like, I mean, they publish the reason why they think this dinosaur had feathers, or why they think it was warm-blooded, cold-blooded, why it came from this area. And then somebody else either publishes something in agreement, or maybe they have a little bit of a different theory. And then, boom, 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 this will go back and forth for a while. And then wait a second. Oh, who would have thought they figured it out? Why? Because that's what science does. So
Yeah, but in the meantime, though, when they're going back and forth, how many knockdown, drag out, brawls were involved? How many, but that was a different time and era. I get what you're saying. But, have a little bit of skepticism when you're sitting there asking somebody. It just seems, I don't know the right way to turn this, but, to ask a question like without offending that person. And sometimes they'll get offended no matter what you say, and that's just the
and I
way it
feel
is.
like those sometimes the people that are getting offended, I feel like maybe they're the ones that have the most to
Most to hide.
somewhat. Yes, my friend. And you are also 100% correct. I'm sure those paleontologists, same thing. They're humans like the rest of us with egos, just like everyone else. Of course, behind closed doors. That's the difference, though. Behind closed doors, none of those people would publish a paper knocking another scientific member like that. Whereas in our communities, apparently, that's all people want to do is just like trigger fire at each other. And I don't think that's a way to solve anything. And also, it's not a good way to bring people on board that have quality minds and quality information to the topic. Because, as stated, sure, behind closed doors, of course, people had beefs. But if someone has a beef, that's the point of behind closed doors. Call somebody, talk to somebody, act like an adult. Let's figure out what was said or why. And yeah, we don't have to be best friends at the end of the day, but respect each other. It's no different than Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick. Okay, you think they're best friends? No, but there's a respect there. You see what I'm saying? So they don't publicly smash each other and talk all this crap. I'm sure behind closed doors, yeah, there's been leaks, whatever. That's not them though. Okay, so yeah, you stated it 100%. We just need to be, as researchers and as adults, be adults and really just sit here and figure out, okay, well, there's merit for this, there's merit for this, but yet everyone's attacking each other, and then everyone's afraid to debunk things because they don't want to upset people. Well, last time I checked, don't post fake things if you don't want to be upset. That's what I'm
Yep.
about. I mean, I don't necessarily have to slam somebody's name on something, but if someone's posting something that's fake and we know it's fake, it's going in the fake album, okay? And then we're going to talk about why it's fake, because that is the whole purpose of what we're trying to do. And the ones that don't want to talk about that, or just want to send you certain pictures, etc., they're just controlling the whole narrative. You see what I'm saying? So they're only letting us in on bits and pieces, whereas if they really wanted to solve this, they would sit down like you and I and be like, all right, well, this is actually what's happening.
Yeah, this is what was seen. This is where it was seen. This is the type of environment it was seen in, type of soil, type of, and everything, Let's get everybody together, get Steve Nixium and, Jody and everybody around the damn table and let's figure this out.
Yes, exactly. Like you said, just have minds work together and figure out what is occurring, because those type of questions are asked a lot, and it's not always the individual's fault. I mean, having education and training in how to interact with people and ask questions isn't something that everybody is totally correctly exposed to. So someone could think that they're doing a really good interview or collecting data, but they might be just missing out on really simple questions that people can pick up on body language and such. So that's why I encourage people to have individuals you work with that are super quality and better at what you do than you are. Meaning, I'm not former law enforcement. I'm a graphics designer, videographer. That's it. Okay. I have no experience with that, but people like Jody, Grizzly, Chris, people I'm associated with, Shane, they can read body language. Okay. They can pick up on things like this. Whereas I can tell you if I think someone looks shady. Okay. But they're trained more to a different level, meaning it's important to have people with that type of training be able to sit down and watch people's videos. Okay. And be able to speak to them face to face because, again, I have a ton of questions. There are some bigger encounters out there where I don't feel very comfortable about some of the individuals' body languages, meaning it almost just seems shisty kind of, okay? And again, I'm not trained in those special fields, and we would like to always take people at face value, yet that's not the reality of how things unfold.
Yeah, exactly, because body language is a big part of it. Their eye movement. Do they look at you directly in the eye? Are they talking to you? Are they looking down at the ground? Or are they just, looking up at the sky and stuff? Are they kicking the dirt? Are they talking to you? Are they trying to
Yes.
back away? All that stuff.
And that's how you can pick up on those things. So no, it's super important, and I would never discourage you from, as you said, being straightforward. Anyone that has a problem with straightforwardness means that, as I feel, that they are potentially hiding something. As you stated, of course, there are ways to do it, but there are plenty of ways to be straightforward and skeptical in a healthy way and be tactful about it. And there is no
Exactly, like
problem.
we talked about earlier, tactfulness.
Yes, so there's no problems with that. And I encourage you to keep on doing that and also keep that mind frame because once we or anyone in life feels like you have to start stepping around, it's you're not being true to who you are or how you want to approach the subject. So if you're a straightforward gunslinging kind of dude, correct? Like you shouldn't have to then not ask the questions that you feel are bringing you the answers that you're looking for and the reason you're asking the question. If you're only asking questions to potentially not offend him or her because you're afraid of that, then you're discrediting yourself now and you're not going to get the proper feedback or the proper evidence that you wanted in the beginning.
Exactly, but and that's what makes it so much harder for somebody like me who's not that internet savvy to do interviews over, like the one I was just talking about here in Utah. The guy is in Illinois, no misery now. And so I just been going back and forth on messenger with him. And it's like, I can't read body language in a message, in a text. I can't do this. So I just hit him a little bit, a week, a couple, 3 or 4 questions. Okay, make a note of that and then move on, you know.
Well, now that we got you set up with this, my friend, I want you to ask him if he will have a Skype conversation with you like this because all you have to do is there's a little camera button you can turn on and you don't have to record anything. And if you do want to record, I can help you and tell you, and I'm sure your kids can as well. But you're set up now, man. So you definitely can, yeah, ask this person. Skype's easy. There's video on it and you can sit there and get someone's body language. So I definitely encourage you to do that.
Well, yeah, that's an idea. I'm glad you thought of it.
Yeah, no, anytime you need help with tech, like I said, I consider you a friend, so I will always try to help you out any way possible. And technology is definitely a gift and a curse. I mean, there are negative aspects, but there are plenty of beautiful aspects as well. And it's just filtering through the nonsense with the good stuff like anything else. So it's a dangerous but very useful tool as well, depending on how it's approached technology. So I do appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule tonight, man, to sit down with us here and definitely pick your mind and give us some of your thoughts as to what's occurring and just your interest in general with the topic, man. So I appreciate you and definitely want to get you back on here at some point.
Well, right on. Yes, I enjoyed this conversation. Anytime.
Thank you for everyone who once again stopped by tonight for another episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on Star Fox Radio. If you do enjoy my content, please like, subscribe, and share it. Feed the algorithm. And until next time, stay safe out there.